The armies are amassing. There are so many little squabbles, well, large squabbles that are going on right now that it's better for me just to keep my head down. You know, a lot of my political friends always chirp up about civil war and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm not shedding blood for what's going on in the political realm. This country goes to civil war. I am moving out of the country for a little bit until it all settles down, because this is just ridiculous. The same thing is happening here in real estate. And if you, I know y'all don't care. And quite frankly, I don't either, but I need you to know about this, because the reason why this is important is because it could affect you. It could affect the way we do business. It could affect you as a consumer, home buyer, or home seller. And that's why it's important. The big kingdoms are coming and trying to pull their power and amass their power against other companies with anti-law or antitrust and competitive this and unfair that. It's amazing how things spark. A year ago, a little over a year ago, we had this big NAR lawsuit saying that commissions shouldn't be bound together by one broker. It should be the buyer's agent has to tell the seller what they want to pay, and the listing agent stays out of it. All sorts of crap. It's just, that sparked a whole lot of different lawsuits. And now what's happening is the big companies are doing things that are antitrust, anti-competitive, monopolistic, all this other stuff, and it's going to affect you. This right here says right here, lawsuits accuses Zillow of deceiving home buyers. Whether you like it or not, when you go onto their website, you say, talk to the agent or talk to an agent. Your assumption is that you go and talk to the listing agent. Most people want to talk directly to the person that's in charge of selling that house, not just some random agent from another brokerage. But that's what you get, because the way that's set up is that Zillow makes 40% off of every sale that an agent that works for them gets. They're a brokerage. They're not just an aggregate site, but they don't have a lot of agents. They have some agents, but then they click on it, and then they would send out your number to some random agent who's paying for this service, and then also agreeing to pay them 40% of that commission. So your commission, if you're working as a buyer's agent, will go higher. Gone are the days of where you can negotiate down on the buyer's commission, because when it comes like this, I'm not going to give you 40% of 1,000. I'd rather give you 40% of 5,000. Buyer be damned. Consumer be damned. This lawsuit is about Compass's exclusives, which we already talked about. I don't think it's a fair deal. I don't think it's a good thing for you to put your house on an exclusive list, because you're not exposing it to the entire market. That's my point. Zillow says it's misleading prospective buyers into contacting agents working with Zillow and not the agent who lists the home for sale. If I have a question about a listing, I go to the MLS, I go and talk to the listing agent directly. But as a consumer, you may not know that. And that's what the problem is here. So there's a lawsuit there. And then Zillow says, Compass, we're not legally required to work with you. A new filing from the top home search site denies wrongdoing, offering details defensive. So this is the counterpoint. You say, I have no responsibility what you do with your business. If you don't want to work with us, we're not going to work with you. We've already set the line in the sand. If you decide not to step over it or whatever, that's up to you. If you decide that you're going to come and work with us, you have to work with our ways. Otherwise, we're not going to work with you. And this is Zillow, which is the top real estate site, against Compass, which is now going to be the largest community of agents. Because yesterday I told you that they're buying Anywhere, which is the second largest company out there, which is a holding company for Century 21, Coldwell Banker, all this stuff. They're buying that for a couple $1 billion, and they will have a monopoly basically on this. So you either work with the kingdom or you work with the blacksmiths and the actual experts, etc. Compass is not, to date, from my knowledge, turned a profit. Their only business is to accommodate and report to the stakeholders and stockholders of Compass. That's all they do. They call themselves a technology company. They're still not profitable. They buy. I don't know how they do it, other than the only thing that's keeping their company afloat is the stocks, because they're not turning a profit. Zillow, I don't know much about them. I don't pay much attention to them. During the call, Mr. Kelman expressed support for Zillow's decision and indicated that Redfin would likely consider a similar policy, meaning that's cartel work. That's conspiracy. That's a threat of conspiracy. While Compass has been waging a campaign against market transparency to the detriment of consumers, and agent Zillow, by contrast, has a long history of providing transparency and equal access to real estate information. Yes, they give you free information, but their business model is to take 40% profit from the agents that work with them, like it or not, right? What Compass is saying, this case is about protecting homeowners' choice. No single company should have the power to ban agents or listings because they don't follow that company's business model. That's the fight. That's fight number 2. All right. Monopoly claims. There's actually cartel discussion. There's antitrust right there. We already talked about it. All sorts of different things, right? And not on top of everything else, there's another lawsuit against the NAR who's saying that there's an antitrust suit against the Realtors. Poor us little Realtors, right? Meanwhile, so the broker is suing NAR for alongside state realtor associations by alleging that their monopoly power over multiple listing services and essential business tools constitutes a metastasized cartel and has bled realtors dry. The way it works for me, I don't know how it is in other states, is I have to belong to an association. I belong to Santa Clara County area of realtors, SCORE. In order for me to access the MLS, I have to agree with their policies, which is I have to be a member of CAR, California Association of Realtors, and I have to be a member of NAR, National Association of Realtors. I have to belong to those unions, which gives them power to do whatever they want. I have no access to them. It's just another tax that I have to pay. Do I get value from them? Not really the NAR. I get some from CAR. I just redid my continuing education through them. They have legal counsel to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. But I also have a broker and a legal team on that side. Anyway, it's not really, should I have it? Do I want it? I believe that the NAR doesn't do right by the consumer. They don't do right by the agent. I'm not really familiar what's going on with the difference between the associations, the state associations, and the national association. I don't really pay attention. I don't see the value of what NAR does other than they're a huge union, one of the most powerful unions in America that control the politicians. So they're a lobby union, and they take our money and focus themselves on making sure that however they want to do real estate is done by policy, by structure, by law, etc. I don't know if that really helps you as a buyer or a seller. I think they're self-invested, but that's just my point. That's my opinion. Associations as cartels, which Whitman alleges that associations are predatory gatekeepers who restrict access to essential business tools unless Agents and brokers pay for memberships, the state membership and the national membership, not only local, state, and national levels, but across local jurisdictions. That said, California is the largest real estate state in the union. I have access to probably 70% of the MLS and MLSs across the state. There's multiple listing services that are across the different states. There's MetroList, Rapatoni, all these different things that are out there. Every region has their own MLS, and they restrict access unless you're a part of that union. Whitman pays $1,000 in annual dues. I pay much more than that. The 2 local realtor associations that funnel part of the money. Yeah, I pay something close to $1,200, $1,300, I want to say. And they're not crippling fees, right? I mean, look, if you're an active agent, and you're doing business, yes, it's a tax. It's painful. But I pay $1,000 for new tires today, right? So when you put it into the big picture of things, every time I go to get my oil change, it costs me $1,200-$1,500 to get something else fixed because, well, I have an American car. But that's not here or there. That's the fact is that $1,000 is a lot of money. I don't care. But if you're running a business, and as a realtor, you are running a business. You're running a mom and pop business. I don't care if you work for Compass, which is the big monopoly kingdom, or you work for Real, or you're an independent broker. You run yourself as an independent contractor, as a business. It's not a scalable business. It's not something where I can create or duplicate myself and scale myself out. There's teams, there's groups, but those don't really work out that well. We'll go into that in a couple of weeks. But in the big picture of things, $1,000, that's 5% of my budget, 2%, 3% of my budget of marketing and running my business and everything. I put money into my business to watch it grow, just like any other business does, right? Microsoft spends billions of dollars in advertising every year. They spend billions of dollars in labor and all this R&D, and they have to reinvest money into that company to continue to grow and to continue to develop new products. That's what this is. So $1,000 of that NAR maybe gets $200 or $300. On the whole, it's an aggregate huge amount of money. We're talking about billions of dollars every year. But you're a part of a union, and that's what you agreed to. So I don't know. I could see both sides of this story, right? Okay, so enough of this. What is this? Oh, shit. I didn't even realize this. Hang on a sec. Screen. Okay. Martha Street. What is this? This is 90 days on market, I think. Oh my God. Yeah, 90 days on market. Martha Street, 888 days or $888,000 for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 900 square foot house. And mind you, it's only 4,400 square feet, which is about half of what a standard lot is. $888,000. On top of that, if you look here, it's right by 280. It is right down the street, downtown, living right there. 800. This is I wouldn't pay $100,000 for this. There's only one picture. It's been on market 92 days. 3-bedroom, 1-bath. I can't give you any more information of this other than this thing needs to be torn down and have a little tiny house put on it, or a couple different houses on it. They just tore down a tree. It's a dirt lot. This thing's 100 years old. I have no idea why they're doing this, why they're trying to. I could see why they want to do the value here. But to me, this thing's a piece of dookie. I would never even look at. I mean, remember when I'm telling you, like, as a consumer, as a buyer, you're looking at 400 or 500 homes, and you whittle it down to 100, and then of that, there's 10 or 20 that you might want to go look at. You know, that you tell your agent, hey, I want to go look at these 5, 6, 7 houses. Oh, there's open houses this weekend. I'll just go though. This one gets skipped over so quickly because of, I mean, everything about it. It's not a value to anybody. Maybe at $100,000. Okay. REO of the week, Dwayne Ave. This is pretty new on market, 22 days on market. This is a townhouse, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 1,800 square feet. Let's take a quick look in here. Okay. So the first part of this is they staged it. Great. They put the money in, right? If I was an agent, I would do that. I would put the money into it, get it staged up. But why in the hell are you not doing the front of the house first? It's ridiculous. It's redonkulous. I mean, you have to go all the way down to the bottom. Look at the garage before you even see what the front of the house looks like. They did this completely backwards. I mean, it's a pretty house and it's a great layout, but switch it up. If you were watching this, agent, you should switch this up. Sorry. I was going to give you the quick floor plan there. I don't know why it didn't do that. Me, because I wasn't paying attention. Garage, first bedroom. Your entryway is here. You go downstairs to get to your 4th bedroom, which is standard. That's fine. You have a half bath here. And then this is the 3rd floor. Primary, bedroom, walk-in closet. I don't know how you get from the bedroom. And then you have your bath. That's great. It's nice. It's a little cozy here in the 2nd bath here. This feels like it's a little bit bigger, but it's not. It's about the same size. And you have a 2-car garage, right? And it's $1.7 million. Good luck to whoever wants to buy that. And that's a bank-owned property. So if you're doing it. So here's a quick look at what my buyer's checklist looks like. Make sure if you do start looking at houses, this is multiple pages. This allows you to compare and contrast different houses and look at different houses inside of every house. So you can look at the laundry, the landscaping, the art, air conditioning, kitchen, etc. This allows you to get more information in a short amount of time and then compare and contrast when you're at home, and you can discuss it with your other person and decide which house fits your needs the best. I designed this one so that you can take it and run with it and make your life a little bit easier, because when you look at 4 or 5 houses, everything gets mingled up and jumbled, and you forget which house had dual pane, which one didn't, which one had air conditioning, or which kind of kitchen. So download that checklist today. This is Cupertino House of the, or Apple House of the Week, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. This one right here, it caught my eye because I thought that this is a perfect way to show off your first picture of a house. This is nice because you get a 500-foot view. It's really like 30-foot view, 40, maybe 50-foot view of what that house looks like. It's nice curb appeal. It's not the perfect lawn, but it gives you a good idea of what that house looks like. Not like this thing right here where you look at that, or that's your first picture. Oh, it's a townhouse. Great. Nobody cares. This allows you to see this is a nice substantial house. I like it. This is Flynn Way, new on market, not my listing, $3.3 million, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,952 square feet, built in 1961, and is very well maintained. You can just look at that house and get that feeling of, oh yeah, this house is done well, right? And you look at it and it has, I feel like maybe they flipped this a little bit, but nice counters, nice kitchen, nice cabinets. I'm not a fan of the dark brown. The wood floor was sanded down and redone. Looks really nice. Nice bathroom. Not a big fan of big, black, dark bathrooms, nor the silver. Maybe they're a Raider fan. Not sure. I don't know. And they have a Costco pergola, which is great. Love them. They're a real pain in the ass to put together, by the way. And then they have, a little hot tub. This is a great house. This is a great value. $3.3 million. If you're working for Apple, this is a great opportunity for you to walk to work every day. It's not even a mile. And then Mountain View Home of the Week. I picked this one because of its proximity to Castro Street, because you know how I like downtown Main Street, USA localities. This one is an older house built in 1945, Fairmont Ave, not my listing, 2.1 million, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,275 square feet, 1-car garage. Let's see if it has cooling. You don't really need cooling in Mountain View, but yeah, it's nice to have. Huh. I don't see cooling. None. Yep. See, no air conditioning. You need to have air conditioning, guys. Yesterday was proof positive of that. I see a little silhouette of a shadow. Never mind. That was a stain water drip. Oh, nice. Look. Original kitchen. How much is this? $2.1 million for an original house. I'd rather move to Cupertino than this. Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, look, when you're buying a house, you have to look at the complete value of it and look at surrounding houses. And if that's your budget, this might fit your needs, but this house needs a little bit of work to make it updated. So hopefully they priced it right. It'll probably be gone in a couple of days anyway. 40 days on market, we're at 285. Nothing's going crazy here. I can show you right here. There's charts. You can go look deeper at these charts. Nothing's great. Nothing's going out of the ordinary. Nothing for us to really worry about, right? For sales, we're down from the summer heat, the selling season. We're not going to see a huge pickup, I don't think, in inventory this year or this fall, because rates aren't coming down fast enough. But on the big picture, on the economy, we're dropping a rate just to keep the economy flowing. See what happens in October, right? Because right now, our even in Santa Clara, it's like almost the same chart, right? It goes up and it goes down. Nothing crazy going on. And I'm also charting expired withdrawals, but I should have a separate chart for that. Back on markets, nothing's jumping up. If you look over here, back on markets, Santa Clara County, we're 77 total over the last 7 days. 13 withdrawn, expired was 5, canceled. So yeah, we have a good number of homes that are falling out of contract, and that's because buyers have their way. There's multiple options for buyers right now because there's not a ton of buyers out there and a whole lot more sellers. Even though we're below our numbers where we need to be for actives, San Jose should be 1,000 plus or minus. Santa Clara should be about 2,000 plus or minus. But even during the summer when it went up, we saw it get close to 1,700. It was still a balanced market, not necessarily a seller's market, because a seller's market, a buyer's, not necessarily a buyer's market, because a buyer's market is 6 months. That means prices are falling, buyers are jumping in and taking the blood out of the sellers. That's just not happening. Sellers are still being persnickety because there's no need for them to sell right now. There's no need. They have 2.5% interest rates. They have equity in their house. They're comfortable. Yes, there's homes that are selling as bank loans. People are giving their homes back to the banks because they can't afford it because they got laid off, but that's a very small number. It's a hugely small number. There's only 68 in the Bay Area. It should be like 6,800 back in 2008. So let's see, we'll go back to this one right here. That's 90 days. Let's see if I can get this one for you real quick. When I say it's 68 in the Bay Area, it's spread all over, and we only have a few here, right? We saw that one on Duane. There's one in Mountain View, Sunnyvale still, and then one here, which we talked about last week. That's it. That's all we have. And then you have to go all the way up here. Oakland, it's always a shit show. And there's a huge bunch in Antioch, Concord, etc. This is a great area to buy in if you can afford it. If you want to move, if you can be remotely and still want to be in the Bay Area, Vacaville, Napa, Fairfield, Vallejo, these are great areas to buy into right now because they're depressed. Days on market are high. The list price to sales price ratio is lower, and this is the high volume area. So if you want to live close to where you work, you're going to pay for it. All right. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the one person that's on the show right now watching me. One person, but it's 7 o'clock. So I got it. I'm Vito with Abitano. Thanks for watching. We'll see you out there.